That's
All right.
fine.
I'm Pat.
Hey, Patrick. I'm Jeffrey.
We're back
Yeah.
on schedule this week.
Yeah, that was my fault last week,
A
and
little bit my fault and a little
yeah,
bit and basketball's fault too. So
this is true. I'm
these are
always
all
going to
things
blame
that are
basketball
done.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all done now. On to baseball.
You know what? I
I
don't think there's a likelihood of baseball interrupting our session.
don't think so either, man. So I think I'm done going to games for a little bit.
Is that so?
Yeah, I've got 4 under my belt now. Um,
That's that's a lot,
I'm gonna
man.
get a couple
Yeah.
more this fall, but like even the one that I went to last week, he was getting a little toasty, man. So
Mm.
I might look at like some of the night games. So we'll see. So,
That's a smart idea. Night
yeah,
games, or maybe wait until September.
I'm definitely going to go to a couple more in September.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams that are coming to town that I want to see. Um, I think St. Louis comes in at that time. I want to go see those guys. They still got Arenado, so
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't care. Now I just go and watch them beat up on my team. So except for the one time they played my team and then they beat up on that team. This is bad luck.
It's not your tean.
No, it's not my team.
No,
Yeah,
it's not
no,
your team. They
no,
haven't earned it.
no, they haven't earned it.
That's
They're not going to this year. I was actually thinking about putting a down payment on like the Rockies pass for next year. It's just so fucking cheap right now.
that's not a horrible idea, all things considered.
Yeah,
You really do get kind of a deal when you put those together.
you do, and so there's a couple different ways that it works.
Yeah,
Like there's the bona fide season tickets,
right. But
so where you get the same seat or section
yeah,
every time for every home game.
right.
And those are that's pricey. So
Yes.
I mean, it's not bananas pricey, but you're not going to
No, I
spend.
priced it out, man. It's
I
it's
priced
kind
out
of
it was about
expensive.
$6,000. So and I was like, "Ooh," but that's where I wanted to sit too. So I don't know if they're cheaper, elsewhere. But and then you don't get all the games. You get to pick a day a week. So that's the next package down.
Oh,
Okay,
right,
so like
right,
you want to go to every
right.
Friday night game. So, and then they have this thing called the pass where you basically load it up like a credit card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and then you get substantial discounts on tickets anytime you want to go. And so I was looking at that one. So, but you have to buy it before the season. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
No, they used to. They also used to do like 25 game passes
they do
and
have
stuff like
those
that.
still. They
So
got they got tons of different packages,
yeah,
man. So it's basically like, yeah, if you'll give us money, we'll take it. So.
I'm not gonna fight you, but
Mm-mm. No. So, but yeah, I think it's getting to the summer's getting a little toasty. So it's not as bad as it probably will be in 3 weeks, but
no,
um,
no. I mean, the most agonizing month, of course, is just around the
yeah,
corner.
it's right. It's a
Um,
month away.
but that being said, not to not to jinx it or anything, and it's not don't have too much control of it. But generally speaking, this particular month of ours has historically gotten hot, especially towards the end of it, and we've sort of skated.
We did skate. Like there was a couple days, like when I went to the game last Thursday, it was getting a little toasty. That was in Denver. Denver's usually a degree or two cooler than we are.
Cooler?
Yeah, they usually
Oh,
are.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Farther from the equator.
further from the equator, lower to the ground. But you know, um, and then I was down in P Town last Wednesday. It was fucking hot. So,
P Town?
Pueblo.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
okay, right, right.
yeah. It was hot. So I was like, fuck this, man.
They are closer to the equator.
And lower.
Okay.
So Pueblo's kind of in a bathtub, down there. So I mean, I've driven down there some days where like you're going into town and there's just this ocean of fog, and you descend into the
Oh,
fog.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, there are choices. There are sort of, you've got the mountain of fog. I've seen that, not
mm.
there, but in other
Oh
places.
yeah,
But The one that's sort of, at least to me, a little bit more uh, like heart wrenching is that lookout, and you just, you look in front of you,
Mhm.
and it's just moving. It's just the hot
it's the
waves. It
it's
is
the
just
heat.
the
No, no, no. I don't need a backrest today, Sasha. So that's good.
it is, and you just see the wobble, you know, that goes up to a man's waist.
Yeah, or it's got that like haze filter on everything.
That jet
Yeah,
wash.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So I haven't seen that too often. We used to see that at the airport all the time, man. Especially out on the concrete on the ramp.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there are some states where you see that, like on the highways and shit. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
used to see that in Nebraska all the time, man. So during the summer, so when it dries out, and definitely in Wyoming. So you definitely see that there. Because the highways that were straight as an arrow. So
that is true. They cut through the rock to make it that way.
they did, yeah.
Yep. Um,
But yeah, so I think I'm done with baseball. I'll stay indoors and do some cyberpunking. So
there's a good time for it.
it is a good time for it, man. And I'm actually like, I'm on kind of like a quiet time right now as far as work goes. So, um,
You're supposed to be, right?
not
Yeah.
really. Yeah, summers just don't. There's other shit that I gotta do. So, but I did a lot of it last week, so I'm kind of dug out for a while. So yeah, like just the last 2 days, it's kind of going like So even though it's a month in the summer,
You know what's dumb?
man.
It's just on my mind because I had to mess with this a lot today. And I researched it.
Mhm.
In Google Docs, right?
Okay.
If you have like a one-page document, right?
Right.
And you're going into suggest mode, right?
Okay.
All right.
I haven't used that in Google Docs too much.
Well, it's
I
a
used the what is it, Pilot or whatever it is in Word.
yeah, that's
Kind
a
of the same thing.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Suggest mode is basically like the comments mode. Yeah,
Oh,
or
okay.
the editing mode where
Yeah,
you put in
yeah,
the edit. And,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Review mode.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So the thing I think is dumb is that if you have like a page of things
Hmm.
and you're doing all the edits
Hmm.
and you copy those edits and paste it in, it's one comment.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Oh, that is dumb. It doesn't do that in Word.
yes, it does
Oh,
because I just tried it.
really?
Yep, it all does it.
As one comment?
Yeah, so basically that counts as one edit.
Oh.
The pasting of that is one edit. So if, for
Oh,
example,
if you paste it.
yep.
Oh, okay. So you're creating a new doc from an old one
Well,
and then
basically,
pasting the
right.
comment. Yeah,
Essentially,
okay.
putting that in instead of like, say, for example, if you went ahead and had questions 1 through 25 on there,
Hmm.
you took another page which has the exact same questions, but the answers are different,
Hmm.
right? And you paste it over it, it would say that's one edit,
One edit. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Versus going in there and saying, like, I'm smart now.
Yeah.
I should be able to look at this line by line or number by number or figure out what it is the fuck that you're trying to do.
Hmm.
But it won't do that
Yeah, that sucks.
because
Sorry, honey.
changing a million fucking edits on one Google Doc, suggestion by suggestion, is so goddamn time consuming.
Oh, I do. That's what I've been doing the last 3 days.
God damn.
So you know what I did find that actually helps quite a bit. As much as I hate using it,
Say it.
it's OneDrive. So and having a single source document, and then if you have three co-authors who are working on shit, you say, "Motherfucker, stop sending me a new edit of this every single time. Edit the one in OneDrive." I mean, like, so one guy got this and he was like, "Yeah, that's great." And the other two were like, "Well, I made my edits and I sent you a new doc." I'm like, "Motherfucker, now I have to put those in that doc." You know? So, um, but I didn't actually paste them in there. I just went through and changed the source doc as I went through whatever edits they sent.
Right.
So, but
Right.
that doesn't mean you can do the accept, reject, comment thing. So you
Right.
just change it,
Right.
which was fine. But yeah, next time I do this, I'm going to start a new one up here in another week or two. It's all staying on OneDrive, man. So, because I am so over having like four different people send me edits on something. And
That's so stupid.
it is, but like, okay, so I was extremely reluctant to use OneDrive because I hate it with a burning passion fire.
Sure.
So because I mean, like, especially when you're trying to sync over multiple computers,
Yes.
then it's like, oh, we're gonna pull all your docs from that computer over to this one. It's like, motherfucker, don't,
I didn't
no,
ask you to.
I didn't ask you to. So yeah, and so it's just, yeah, editing sucks, man. It makes me angry when I have to do it too. So the sooner that I get through it, the better off it is. It's one of those things where, I mean, if there was any time I was going to actually drive to the gas station and pick up a pack of Camels, it'd be if I had to
Hey, man.
don't want a fucking 30-page document like that again. So, because I'm going to need one about every 6 minutes.
It do be like that, man. It's so so I mean this is something that I'm doing for basically a Russian, of course.
Hmm.
Um and this is going into an application. So this is like
Ooh.
this is at least it's I think it's 22,000 words, right?
How many pages is that?
Like 80.
Okay.
Um but everything there is basically it's everything there is instructions.
Okay.
This is practice. This is meditation practice,
Oh,
right? So it's basically like take a seat in this position,
okay.
but scramble that through shitty Russian, right? Okay, so put words where they
Moon
don't
speak.
belong. Yeah, 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 yeah. Make it mood speak. Take articles out. Put words where they don't belong.
Right, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
have all of the have all of your verbs turn into make, right?
Right.
Um, and you have a full document of these, right? And then there's interspersed with Russian language, right?
Right.
And these are instructions. I don't know what they mean, right? I'm not meant to mess with those, but I'm supposed to mess with all the steps from top to bottom.
And put them in the King's English
And every one of those is supposed to be a comment.
or a modification.
Well,
So
if
like an
if
accept
it's
reject, or is it one
accept
that?
reject,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Got
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Every one of those things is supposed to be an approved comment, which is not what I did the first time, and now that's what I'm fixing.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to do that.
There is no better way to do that.
That sucks.
The only other so the first alternative was
I'm sorry. No, you're cooking me.
oh yes.
You are absolutely cooking me.
The first step was I just sent in corrections. I said nothing has changed in terms of uh, the all the lines are exactly the same. The number of lines is exactly the same. The structure has not changed. It is just fixed for grammar, clarity, and readability.
Okay. So none of the subject.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the return on that was, can you do it the other way? I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. So I'm on the clock, right?
So I mean, the other thing is to basically put the. I offered an alternative. This was something that was suggested. Was basically have every line there, but with the original and then the updated
Oh
in
yeah. Just break
italics.
them out.
Yep.
Yeah. You could, and
So
then
you
they
get
just
both.
delete the one that they don't like.
You don't like one,
Yeah.
take the other.
Yeah.
If that doesn't pass muster, then I will go ahead and redo the whole thing.
I think your solution should work. So
I think the first solution should have worked.
the
But
first solution
that being
should have
said,
worked, but it
so,
involved too much moon speak.
it did. It did. And it never. It just doesn't jive with regular language. I got into a fight with Grok about a couple of things.
Oh yeah.
Um, the first was that he didn't believe me when I said Japanese was dead. that it would be gone in 100 years.
Grok didn't?
Nope. He didn't believe me.
Why would it be gone in 100 years? Latin is still around. Nobody speaks that.
Well, I mean, basically from being so there's no country that speaks Latin.
No, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
The language won't itself like completely die, but
Oh, okay.
right.
You don't think they'll be speaking Japanese as the native language in Japan in 100 years?
Nope.
Why?
Okay, so the reason I had to go to Grok in the first place was there was a there was one kanji that had three different pronunciations.
Hmm.
Okay, so it meant
Same, but different.
get this, get this. Okay, so it's the same exact kanji. Okay, it has two different meanings of verbs, and of those two verbs, they both conjugate differently.
Okay.
So they look the same, but they are two separate verbs with two separate meanings, and they both conjugate differently.
Hmm.
But they look the same. There is a third pronunciation of this, which is kaname, which is not the pronunciation that it normally goes to. It's normally pronounced yo. It's at times pronounced e.
The same kanji.
It's the same kanji,
Yeah, okay.
right? Amongst the three alphabets that it has,
Right.
right? With this many different meanings, with a fucking moonspeak construction,
Hmm.
right? Um, with a lack of articles, with a lack of proper plurals,
Yeah.
right? And so I just kind of broke down all the bullshit of this language. I said, like, this is clearly inferior to English, and it's not going to be spoken within 100 years. And he's like, why? I don't agree with that. I'm like, let me tell you, Brock. Tell you why. Because it's spoken in one country. It's spoken exactly in one country that has a population that's falling apart, right? So in order to...
Go ahead.
Okay, now here's the problem, right? They're not having children, so if they're going to maintain their economy at all, Patrick, what do they have to do?
Immigration.
Correct. So now what you're going to have is a subsection of Islam or something, Spanish,
A lot of Indians go to
India,
Japan.
right?
Yeah.
If you get groups in large numbers,
Mhm.
they don't learn the language. If you get them in small numbers, they integrate. If you take them in packs, they don't learn the language.
I don't think Japan will ease up on its immigration policies. I mean, there are a lot of immigrants in Japan. It's just really difficult to become a Japanese citizen.
They actually don't have that many immigrants either. That was part of the.
I've seen kind of both on that one. It's like, okay, so if you go to Tokyo, there's a lot.
Exactly.
Okay, but if you go anywhere else, there's like none.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. In the same way that
I
city
think Polymatter did a thing on that. Didn't he talk about?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I think he did one on Tokyo once. Basically, it was a city that's its own country, surrounded by like Afghanistan.
Well, wasn't that the thing? It was like, didn't he start it with a game of like, I'm going to show you two pictures. Your job is to guess Wyoming,
Right?
Or Japan.
Or Japan. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was something like that. I think it was a couple months ago, but he did talk about that.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't really follow Japan all that much.
Well, I'm learning the goddamn language, so I frequently have to have this crap sorted out.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, then I asked him. This is where the other part of this is. Said this is the other reason it's dying. This language is dead, and it's your fault. And he's like, mine.
It is your fault.
I said, all right. So take a moonspeak Japanese sentence, okay, regular sentence, right? Make sure it's about 14 words or something like that. I said, all right, to hear that, okay, to listen to that and translate it into normal English, how long does that take you, right? I asked him his time. He said the longest it would take me is 1 second, but realistically it's about 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised.
Which means you don't have to give up speaking Indian to learn Japanese.
No, I mean, we'll all have the universal translator eventually. So
that's correct.
Kind of do already.
Which is why that language is doomed.
Doomed, you say?
Doomed.
Doomed.
Because nobody outside the country
Go ahead and throw Italian in there too. With that. So.
Well, Italian is just, it's Spanish with like oregano.
Flourishes. Yeah,
Yeah, it
oregano.
is.
They have oregano in Spain too,
They
John.
call it something different
Right.
though.
Yeah, you're right. They do. Yeah.
No, actually, no, they don't. They call it's it's cilantro that's different. It's yeah,
Oh.
it's cilantro in Spanish countries, and in Italian, it's no, in English, it's coriander.
Oh yeah, in English it's coriander.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Stupid Germans.
Is that their fault?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff in English that is their fault, man. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is, but like the true ugliness of German has been largely kept out of English.
well, yeah, I mean, and we kind of have a limit on how many words you can stitch together
That's
in
correct.
order to make it. They just go all at it, man.
It's yeah, I know. It's like this is some kind of game. Yeah, it's like your games of Boggle are retarded.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you just delete the
yeah,
spaces between things, it makes a
yeah.
new word. Yeah. So no, I get that. I don't know, man. I was reading a little bit about the population stuff, and I'm not as concerned about that as I was before. Methinks that some of the ladies doth protest a bit much. So some of
You
those
think
things.
that?
I do, I really do. So, like there's a lot of bad statistics out there, man. And so, like a lot of the ones that are related to things like childbirth and rates of like family starts and housing starts and stuff like that are very, very cherry picked. So, and that's here in the United States. So, I mean, and like one thing that we do well as a country for some reason is we actually do our laundry in public. So,
Yes.
like the statistics that you pull from like the Fed and stuff like that, they're good. But there's a lot of countries where there's a lot of fuckery going on. So,
Well, does that have to? I mean, I presume a lot of this comes from the finance sector, where you are required by law to give accurate answers. Even
well,
like
no,
stock
I mean,
presentations
some
and
of
stuff
that
like that.
has to do
Yeah.
with that, but I mean, the other has to do with the fact that like certain agencies within the U.S. government are just really good at building samples and making statistical inferences based upon those samples that are 100% defensible. I mean, you don't like the crime rates. I mean, it's one of those things you don't really need to have police departments report crimes in order to actually be able to detect those crimes. Okay, because 9 times out of 10 they show up in victim statistics. So, so or the same thing, you can take a look at jails. All right, so how full is your jail? If your jail fills up, well, that's related to something.
Yeah, and
you know,
that does make sense. I mean, of course, it depends on like if it's the jail in like Big Whiskey, right? That's sort of
right?
a
Yeah,
you know
exactly. There's only like 3 cells, and one of them's
right
got an author in it.
right.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, but no, I mean, it was like, okay, I did dive back into the Russia Ukraine thing a little bit now that Iran seems to be resolved.
I don't think got resolved is sort of the, the way you put that.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny. It was like one of those things where you hit a guy hard enough, you say, "Are we cool?" He's like, "Yeah."
Well, actually, no, that's not completely true. He did say that, but there's this other part where he said, "All right, but you got to do me a favor." It's like what?
What?
It's like my girlfriend's coming over. Can you say that I landed a couple of blows on
Yeah,
you?
no worries, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was, man.
He said, "We're gonna shoot at this base. Like you're telling us this. We're telling you how many we're shooting at what time
What kind?
and from what
What
direction.
vector? Yeah.
Right? No, we're gonna say they hit. They don't have to
They
hit you.
don't
We
have to
just have
hit
to
you.
shoot them.
Yeah, we just have to shoot them.
Right?
So and post that up on Telegram.
And they
Yeah,
did.
and they did. Yeah, they totally did. So
And they did. They went on Iranian Telegram and said up your ass. And then
yeah, Iranian Telegram bleeds over to regular Telegram sometimes. So the same thing's true with Twitter, man. I was pretty sour on Twitter the other day, and I'm still pretty sour on it just because of. Did you see the thing the other day where like what was it? It was some ridiculous number, some like 600,000 accounts associated with like the Scottish independence movement went dark the weekend after we bombed the shit.
No, I did not see that, but
Yeah,
that is.
like
I mean,
literally, like yeah.
I believe in coincidences, but not all of them.
I don't even think 600,000 people live in fucking Scotland, man. So,
It's a pretty small place. I
it's
mean,
not that big,
it's
man.
like
So,
comparably, it's as big as like what state? Like, um,
well, they compare like England is the size of the West Coast, so from
right,
like
right,
California. So you're talking like maybe half of Oregon and Washington. So that would be Scotland,
yeah.
right there. Yeah,
Now, I presume that includes all the islands and stuff like that that are,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
So you know, except for that one crazy green island that is full of lunatics.
I
Um,
don't know this one.
Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I think it was funny that you were describing it as a Scottish island, which is even funnier.
Oh no, you're talking about all the little
Yeah,
fingertip islands and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. I think so. I don't really know, but it was just funny. It was like, yeah, okay. You know, I mean, so there's a couple accounts that I follow, and it's just like, man, this place is lousy with bots. Yeah, it is filthy with it. And I thought that like Musk could clean some of that up, but apparently they've found a way around it. I don't,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Matter of
because
fact,
they're back, dude.
they're back, and this is one of the ongoing fights. And yes, I do understand why this is frustrating to many, right?
Mm,
Um, because for a lot of people, like we can pull data on this and say, like, let's show you what the engagement numbers were a year ago,
yeah, sure.
right? And it's way different. And part of the reason it's different is because they keep fiddling with the engagement algorithm to basically
Yeah,
fuck with bot accounts,
yeah,
right? There's they crouch it in basically this is kind of like we're trying to make sure that the right voices get heard, blah 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 blah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there are certain things that they're trying to put an end to that is incredibly difficult, and I understand why. Because so if you take a 5 million follower account,
Sure.
right? Now, what's going to happen there is, let's say this is the weird thing because you have these huge following accounts with no interaction,
Hmm.
none. And like if you go to CBS, they'll post some shit and they have like 10 million followers. You'll see like three comments.
Yeah, no, there's nobody's watching them. So
Well,
yeah,
evidently they are because I mean, if you're following them, you get that shit on your feed, right? But there's no engagement. Washington Post, no engagement. This kind of stuff here. But you take places here that do have a couple million followers. What'll happen is a couple of people will talk about whatever it is that's on hand, and then basically bots will come in and start posting
yeah,
cross stuff,
yeah.
right, to get engagement off of that
Hmm.
here, and that's the kind of stuff that they're
You see
trying
that
to
on
get rid of.
YouTube all the time
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's infuriating, and they keep trying to like cycle it out, but
there's money in it, so they work their way back in, man.
that's true.
You know,
Hmm.
I mean, it's just it's a little. I don't know. I've noticed that like there's a couple guys that I follow, and they like to throw bombs at people from time to time.
Good.
No, and they're fine, and they're good at
Yeah.
it, and it's kind of fun. But I know they're real people because they raw dog it and use their real fucking names. I can find them. So it's like not hard. It's like, well, there's his phone number. Got it. you know?
There's sort of a once you get to a certain point, you're sort of obligated to do that.
You think so?
Pretty much,
Yeah,
unless you are a famous.
like cat turd type guy.
Well, I mean him, but I would say like if you're a straight up gimmick account,
Okay.
right? So I mean, there are a couple of them out there that are
Oh, like God's account. Yeah.
like that one. One of the later ones that's gained some traction is Retard Finder, and any
So
of
if it's a gimmick, it's a gimmick.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see high number gimmick accounts,
Right.
but if you actually have something to say, then that's not it.
No, no.
That's
I
not it.
mean, people know what you're up to if your name is Cat Turd. So yeah, or Cat Turd Two, whatever.
Yeah, he got in at the right time to somehow gather up quite a following. I don't have a whole lot of love for that guy. That dude kind of fell
I
off.
think he's an idiot.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I can tell what he is. So he's a guy who probably has a really nice place in the Bahamas now. Yeah, thanks to
yes.
his troll farm efforts, the single man troll farm. So
You know, I got to tell you, man, the things that really piss me off here is I know where a lot of these like trolls come from, right? Is
you mean other than Azerbaijan?
there's that, and then there's people out there right now on the internet talking. It's like I had no job, I was doing this. I was like eating out of a trash can, and I've got a guaranteed way to make money here. You got a phone at home?
Dude, that is as old. That is
I
way older than
know.
the internet. Some publisher clearinghouse shit. So,
Oh, I know. We were talking about that crazy Chinese dude who used to be on like the infomercials at night.
oh yeah. Remember Matthew Lesko, the guy in the question mark
Oh
shirt?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
Get $60,000 in
Bonuses. You know? Yeah.
I know a lot of guys who bought that book.
Oh, I'm sure, man. But like the thing is, like I've done a little bit of grant work now. Now I understand that it is not worth the money. It is not worth the fucking work you put into it. Because then after that they start like hounding you. How much did you spend this money? How much of it did you spend? What did you spend it on? Show us your receipts. Brr, brr, brr.
Right.
And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to do a grant next time.
Well, especially like if you were to get a grant for something at your house.
Oh yeah, that's totally different. But you know,
I mean,
like
because yeah, so you show the receipts. It's like Wendy's, Wendy's,
Wendy's,
Wendy's,
Wendy's,
Wendy's,
Wendy's, yeah,
Wendy's.
Pornhub, yeah,
Right.
so
No, I understand. No, I definitely remember that. But yeah, this the killer guys. It's like, will you see this boat?
yeah. Check out these bitches. They mind.
These are my toys.
These are my choices. Yes.
We thought I was joking.
No,
This was
not
a
joking. It
real
was a real
fucking
thing. I
guy.
remember that.
Like
It was on late at night too. So
I'm going to tell you, I don't. I think if you just caught her in the street, I don't think Miss Cleo talks that way either.
probably not.
No.
Yeah, it's probably like perfectly nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
she comes from Queens.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a square.
Well, okay, not quite that, but
Okay.
somewhere in there. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But then suddenly she gets on TV and she's like, "Fucking, let me do your tarot reading."
Yeah, dial this up to 11, man.
She was not playing.
Nah.
See, this like I don't miss TV. I miss this shit. Like, and it's not
Oh yeah.
because I was looking out for it.
No.
It's just that this is like the cultural zeitgeist of that time. Like I was trying to remember the other day. I was walking this creature, and it just happened to be like that time of night, and I was like, God, I feel like there's a show on. I think like Fox that I'd be watching right about now. One of two shows. I can't remember the name, and then eventually they came to me. It was Blind Date and Fifth Wheel,
Oh,
and
I
these
remember
were
Fifth Wheel.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I was remembering these crummy dating like shows
Hmm.
that would be on at like 1:30 in the morning.
Late. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've been watching a little bit of TV. So I was actually at the yacht club last night, watched all the UFC fights. So
Oh, cool.
I
Or no.
guess, man,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it, so I can't tell
Right.
who's kicking whose ass until somebody's on the mat. So,
Okay.
like, and then I'm surprised they don't sponge it down between matches. It gets really gross. So, but anyway.
Well, they do, but it does get into the
Well, yeah, sure.
right.
You grind teeth into the fucking mat.
Well, blood. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. It's a good point because if you actually look at the mat there, right, it's disgusting. But that has been cleaned.
See, that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just use
It
this
looks like they've been slaughtering
yeah,
chickens on it or something after a couple rounds. So,
a little bit.
a little
Yeah.
bit. So, but anyway, just watching the commercials and realizing like there are some things that just don't change, man. So, in terms
No.
of, no, they really don't, man. I mean, it's all like, okay, what's the new thing coming out of Taco Bell? Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So, ooh, there's the new F-150. Got it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. And then it was like, oh yeah, so I do want whiter teeth. Got it.
Okay. No, I got you
There's
then.
something about it
Yeah.
that's just nice
Yeah.
and comforting and samey. So, oh, here comes the fucking not the Affleck guy, the Progressive Auto Insurance crew, which has grown to a squadron. So
Yeah. No, things have changed. It used to be Flo's world, and we're just living in it. But they
Flo is
have,
still there, but
yeah,
she is
she's supervisory
very
at best.
supervisory.
Yeah.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, get in there, kid. You
Yeah.
know. So then opens up a newspaper.
That's correct. No, and some things don't change. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I did.
still,
Jake from State Farm is
yeah,
still a thing.
yeah, the
So
same
yeah,
old shit.
so and so I mean, I guess like even though I'm not watching that many shows, I mean, I'm definitely like, okay, so TV hasn't changed that much. You know,
I don't know if it will. I think that
I don't think it will, man.
I think there's a version of that um, I think that's omnipresent. I think that's the kind of thing that you say it's it's less expensive to not have AI generate this.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, actually, that's true. I didn't see any AI generated
You know?
ads. So see those all the fucking time on you on. Well, I guess they're not ads. They're just like there's a lot of shit on YouTube now that is AI generated.
Well,
There's a lot.
it's either
So
narrated by that guy or that girl.
almost all of it's narrated by that guy.
Right.
So who
Or
actually is a real guy.
by that girl.
I haven't seen that
You've
one
heard
too,
her
but
voice too.
yeah, I would definitely recognize her voice, but the guy voice is much more prevalent.
Yes.
Um,
They don't even change it up.
no,
They don't even
no.
like cut it with like Dennis the Menace or some shit, and
Mm.
just like do something different with this.
Yeah, but it's full of it, and it's becoming. It's not quite unwatchable yet, but I can see where it's going. So because the way,
As can I.
yeah, because the way the algorithm works, man, it's like, oh, you like this? Would you like an AI generated version of this? And then if you watch one of those shorts, you get five more, and it's like, no, actually, I didn't like that. So it's just it's I don't know, man. It's just there's a lot of fake shit out there. I mean, like really,
Oh,
really
incredibly fake.
stupidly bad
Yes.
fake
Yeah.
shit out there. I mean, Telegram's almost unnavigable because of it. Yeah, it's just you know, and then yeah, YouTube's getting there, man. I can see where it's going. So
Well, all right.
I mean, I've seen a lot of like big time YouTubers over the last year, guys that I've been watching for a couple of years. They're starting to slide, man.
It's starting to
They're
slide. It's
starting
starting
to
to hang out. A lot
slide.
of them are. There's
Yeah.
there's a you know what, and this happens every few years. There's always a wave of dudes who are on the outs. They were talking the other day like this was some like great insult. It's like um, PewDiePie is no longer in the top 10. It's like the dude hasn't put out a video
Yeah.
in like 5 years
I haven't even looked, man.
because well, I don't know. I don't watch that shit,
No,
but
I
I was
don't
like
watch them either.
I was like, but this guy like got married and started having a family, and every now and then posts about like, hey, we're growing our own carrots.
Yeah.
It's
Check out my sourdough starter.
right. I'm like, that looks like the good life, bro. And then you pan out a little bit, and you're like, fucking all that property is yours. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have these just like waves of dudes like from that era. Now they're getting out. Now
Yeah.
the next wave
I mean,
is
I didn't even
on
notice
the
it, but
teeter.
like
You know.
like I did ride the Minecraft wave for a little bit. A
Oh
bunch of
yeah,
those
yeah.
huge guys are getting out
Oh yeah,
now,
we're getting
man.
out. They're
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just like, you know what? We've been playing this for about 12 years. So,
This is shit, dude. It's like I thought this was going to be the most awesome job on the planet,
yeah.
and it kind of is,
For
but it's kind of not.
But then after a while, I think, it'll be interesting to see if there's any like 50-year-old or 50-year run YouTubers in the next 20 years.
No way.
I doubt it too,
No
man.
way.
Yeah. It's just
Like they'll be there,
oh, you
but
won't know
they're
about
not.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, but even then, I mean, like, and that's the other thing about YouTube that's kind of weird is even the videos up there. There's videos up there from people that have died.
Yes.
So, and it's like, how does this still get this many views? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's a lot of things in that just don't translate over to traditional media. And so I actually do think that we're going to go. I think we're going to regress a little bit. So, I mean,
Well, this isn't like fall of the Roman Empire shit.
no,
Right.
yeah, no, 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 no. It's just the amount of content out there is mind-bogglingly huge,
Yes.
and eventually you get to the point in time where you stop looking for content. You,
Content finds you.
well, either it finds you, or you're just like, I've seen this before. Even if it's not something that you actually have seen, it's like, I know what you're going to say. I know what's going on here. I know your take on this before you even get past, the first 30 seconds of your video.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
It's like,
I got
nah, I'm
that. I
good,
got
man.
that. No,
Yeah.
it's no. If you're talking about there being sort of like a incestuous, pile of content, it's absolutely that
Mm.
because you have people at the ready at all times just to basically look at what's popular and dupe it. Now,
Oh, yeah.
I will say, and it's funny that we talk. The weird thing is, we keep talking about the algorithm like it's sort of like a spiritual entity, and I think a lot of people do. A lot of
Yeah. A lot of
people,
people, yeah, you got to
it's
feed it.
like I pray to it,
It's like,
this
right,
kind of thing.
yes.
It's like, well, you
We're
don't
going
want
to build it a golden calf
to.
and bring it some sheep.
A lot of people are like, well, you don't want to give it too many hours
Don't
because
give
if
it
you
too
give it
many
too many
hours.
hours,
Yeah.
it's going to
Yeah,
deprioritize you.
right. Exactly.
Um,
You got to keep that video is going to be under 17 and a half minutes.
just I'll talk. Yeah, and the weird thing about this is I think if you ever actually go to the search bar, right,
Mhm.
and look for something, I think it prioritizes that like 100 times over.
Oh,
Like,
over what
yeah,
it's trying to feed
yeah.
you? Yeah, absolutely.
It
So,
doesn't matter what you wanted to watch if you're just kind
mhm.
of like, I want to watch I want to watch a commercial for Dell computers in 2000 because I think this actor was in it. You watch one commercial and it's that.
Yep.
It's like, you must really love this. I'm like, no, you don't understand me at all, do you?
No, but it's always been that way, but it does prioritize it. Google Newsstand is just as bad, which is why I don't really use it that much anymore.
That's crap.
It is bad, man, but I mean, like, I can't rely on Twitter. So,
It's too much work.
it's way too much work to find your morning dose of news on Twitter.
I mean,
So it's
it's there.
almost impossible.
It is
So,
there. It's absolutely there, and it's there first, right? It is
yeah,
up to the second,
I
but
just don't need the raw surveillance camera video feed
it
of
most
my
certainly
news.
is that. Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't need that, man. Because 9 times out of 10, you pull that thing up, there's nothing there. Okay. But then, the next day when you see that somebody got shot on that thing, it's like, why wasn't I there? And then after a little while, you're like, actually, if someone gets shot on that thing, it will find me.
Patrick, let me ask you something. Okay, so we had a news day pass today. Let's go back one day.
What happened?
Did anything happen yesterday?
No,
Big news?
no.
I think there was one thing they were talking about that was big,
Okay.
and that was a SCOTUS ruling.
I thought that was on Friday.
Was it Friday?
Yeah, those were on Friday.
Oh, okay, that was on Friday then.
Yeah, they dropped like 8 of them in one fucking day.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
The one was pretty goddamn big.
yeah. I mean, are you talking about the birthright one?
That's one of them. Yeah, it's the other thing here about the challenge of the courts.
Yeah. Although so that one, I actually read through a chunk of that one. It's not what people are saying it is. Okay, it's definitely not what Donald Trump says it was. It is a pretty big fucking deal. But the other thing is it basically said, if I understand it correctly, and I might be wrong about this, but it basically stated that, okay, so like the largest organizational unit within the United States beneath the federal government is the state. Okay.
Right.
And so, if you have federal jurisdiction over multiple states, okay, remember that the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction between anything where the state decides to sue the federal government or vice versa. And so it would have to be done on a state by state basis now.
You're talking about the birthright stuff.
The birthright stuff is really
That
different.
was specifically part of that too.
Yeah, but the birthright thing, the thing that's interesting about that is they said, well, basically, okay, we're going to give you guys 30 days to get your shit put together and bring it back to us.
Right, right, right.
Which means that, in theory, depending on how that ruling goes, individual states could potentially decide whether or not to actually mint new citizens.
That that was what I was seeing. Right now here,
And that, huh, I don't think that's what anybody had in mind there. And so that's why I don't think that was exactly, opportunity to do a victory lap just yet. Now, some of the other stuff, absolutely. Okay, some of the other stuff, absolutely. But that one was kind of like, whoa, you guys, you need to go read this.
what's funny is they do raise the point. They say like this was for slaves. It's like, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all. It doesn't.
No,
That verbiage is not used in there at all. Now that being said, it doesn't mean that's not what the intent was, but it wasn't said.
but that doesn't matter. Okay, and the reason it's very simple because like you know how many times in federal cases they use like the Federalist Papers to actually
Oh,
help
oh.
decide something? That's not in the Constitution either, but it does outline like this is what the lawmakers had in mind. And so for the 14th Amendment, I'm sure there's reams of that shit out there somewhere, because they had to debate the fuck out of it. So I have no idea. But, the fact that it was passed in 1865, something different too. I don't know. I just say it, This might be
We said, coincidences do happen, but
right. Yeah, this is chocolatey goodness breaking out in Pennsylvania again. So, yeah. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see. But I mean, certainly, like, I mean, there were some pretty sharp divisions that got thoroughly settled on that because they're all 6-3 rulings with the
hmm
exception there was like one or two that they actually broke away some of the three. um I didn't go through them all because they dropped like 8 of them in one fucking day. It was crazy. So
No, you're right. It's like they were taping fucking Jeopardy episodes.
it's been a day. See you in 6 months. So, but no, I was really surprised that they said, okay, so we're going to stay this for another 30 days. And then, because there's like 23 states, and including the state of Colorado, who are suing the federal government over the birthright citizenship thing. And it was very interesting how the court tiptoed around anything that had to do with the actual intent behind um, that clause.
Yeah, I heard people talking about it, but not them,
Exactly.
which was interesting.
No, they basically did a whole bunch of rulings on jurisdiction. So, which was like, okay, so you guys are putting the stakes out on the field. Got it. So, I don't know.
I don't know who wrote this, but I thought this was pretty funny. The principal dissent focuses on conventional legal terrain, like the Judiciary Act of 1789, and our
Mm-hmm.
cases on equity.
Mm-hmm.
Justice Jackson, however, chooses a starting line of attack that is tethered neither to those sources nor,
That
frank,
was Amy Coney Barrett who wrote
to
that.
any doctrine whatsoever,
Yeah. Is it
waving
the
away
one about the
attention,
law should apply to judges too?
waving away attention to the limits on judicial power as a mind-numbingly technical query. I was like, God damn, man.
That was Amy Coney Barrett who wrote
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, she slept down Jackson pretty hard. So, which justices do from time to time. You see them do that. So,
Yes,
yeah.
that's well. They have to. There's the problem here is if they don't, they can get away with saying just utter bullshit. Basically in arguments.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they can, but I mean, they're peers, and so they do jump each other's shit from time to time.
Yeah.
One of them was interesting. I can't remember which one it was, but there was actually there was a ruling, but there was no assent opinion.
How does that work?
I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing. So it was just basically, well, this one's 6-3, and there's not an assent rule or opinion on it, but there is a dissent opinion on it. And so I wanted to go back and look at that one because I couldn't remember which one it was. But it was one of them where they, basically said, nah. But then, a couple people were like, oh, we didn't believe it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, that's interesting. And the other guys didn't say anything. So I'd never seen one like that. Maybe it happens all the time. I just don't fucking know. So
That's a good point.
yeah,
I think
I don't know.
yeah, you put that to the experts.
Yeah, if they care.
Typically, we say, I don't work there.
I write wills.
You don't know about as much of it as I do. Yeah,
I have gotten that response a couple times.
that's,
It's
it.
like I lawyer during the day. I don't want to do it in the evening on the night where we're supposed to
Hey,
go out. It's
you
like,
know
okay,
what?
all right.
Hey, that's park managers want to go inside
Correct.
after when work's
Yeah,
over,
we
and
don't want to talk about bears. Yeah,
office guys want to go outside, and
right. Poke the bears.
that's correct. Yes, and drink out of a paper bag. So it's
Right, yeah.
yeah,
Leave picnic baskets.
yes.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, that was like all the news that was fit to print on Friday. There was something else going on Friday.
But see, I would argue that those could be argued as big deals.
They could be, but I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, even over the course of this podcast, we've seen enough like things
Big
come
deals.
big deals that it's kind of like, well, we can't call them all big deals.
Well, that's the problem.
I mean, I would say out of all the big deal things that I've seen come from the Supreme Court over the last 10 years, okay, so the abortion thing is probably number one.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was basically like, no, this law was garbage and it should go back to the states. That represents a sea change. And ever since then, that's the way the court's kind of gone. So, okay, that one's a big fucking deal. All right, so we have a few activist judges out there, and it's actually like it's interesting because it comes down to like three fucking guys.
That was the problem. That is what part of the huge problem. That's what they were saying is this is
Exactly.
they pulled the numbers out of it. So like something to the tune of like 65 of these came from three people.
Exactly. And it was like, whoa, wait a minute. All right, so we don't have a structural problem.
Yes.
We have a personnel problem.
What can you do?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
What are you supposed to vote these people out?
I don't know how it works with federal judges. I don't know if they actually come up for election.
They're appointed. Yeah.
They're appointed by the president,
Yeah.
confirmed by the Senate. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Senate could impeach one of them. So there you go. But, I mean, you're not doing that with the 49-51 Senate. So,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know why? Because then it would be done every single term.
Right.
Every single time it flipped.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We're getting rid of all your judges.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. So, but there's not that many of them either, and that's the thing. There's not like this fucking legion of federal judges out there. So,
No, but if they have that authority, that supersedes.
Well, and I think that's why the Supreme Court put the stakes in the ground where they did last week, because they're like, all right, so bring us something now. So, now that we've marked out the field, here we go. Kind of thing. And I think that probably makes a little bit more sense why they gave them another 30 days. But again, okay, so if they give them 30 days, we won't see that ruling until October. So there you go.
That's true. This was already have your fucking sunglasses and plane tickets out when they finished ruling number 8.
They probably had shorts and flip-flops underneath the robes. Yeah, exactly. They were ready to chat. So, yeah. So, but we'll see. No, other than the Iran stuff, yeah, it's been pretty chill, like news week. I mean, last week was kind of bananas with all that stuff going on, and then all the World War III doomerism going on out there.
Boy, howdy!
God damn, it got thick for like 3 days there, man. So fucking like my whole YouTube Shorts feed was clogged with ways to like talk to the World War III recruiter, and I was like, that's not even a thing. It's obviously made.
I saw a lot of pictures, images, and stuff like that. That was like, tell your recruiter that you're not going to go die for Israel.
I saw a shitload of them. Man, those came from Azerbaijan.
Look, I feel a fair amount of that shit was homegrown here from the same fucking losers who pop up, at Colombia and shit like that.
They do from time to time, man. But I mean. That's a small group of people too, man. I mean, did you see the video the other night of the lady who was screaming at the Antifa dudes that they were protesting the courthouse?
The fucking music on. It's like,
exactly. It was like people are trying to fucking sleep.
Patrick, I saw a video of a woman yelling at 2 ducks to stop getting it on.
Oh, okay.
Because he thought the male duck was raping. She thought the male duck was raping
that one. That one did not make it into my Twitter feed.
She went into the water, dude.
To break up.
To break them up.
Yeah, to break them up. Yeah. So, I don't get it, man. But I mean, even then, so showing some of those crowds, it was like that's pathetic. You have like 30 losers out there who got nothing better to do on a Friday night.
I
Got
know.
it. So just rather than they go around and bother the locals who have to live next to the courthouse. Got it. Okay. So a serious endeavor. Oh no, the other thing was the whole New York City thing. That's funny, man. Dude, what the fuck, man? Okay, so like, what the fuck is going on with Tucker Carlson talking that dude up?
Oh, that socialist,
Yeah,
that socialist Muslim.
I'd say I've never been a huge fan of horseshoe theory, but I think you might be onto something, man. So, you know,
Look, man,
now if Lauren Loomer comes out and starts talking about, then I'm going to be like, okay, this isn't horseshoe theory. This is horseshoe conspiracy.
no. See, that's the thing. You know, you're right because that's the thing that horseshoe theory tries to forget and really tries to pretend doesn't exist. There is basically like it wouldn't connect if not for like the like the mRNA that is libertarianism,
Oh
right?
yeah,
There's this.
is that what makes up viruses?
Well, it would actually no. That would be
mRNA.
that would be tRNA. It's a transfer RNA. So yeah, when you get to those two ends, right, there are these little antibodies, the GCAT, that basically go over here and connect to the other side,
Yeah,
right?
it's,
They don't
we
touch.
call it zero hedge.
They don't touch. They touch
They
here.
communicate
You're
though.
right. They touch here, and then
Right,
they
yeah.
carry these amino acids over here to this side, right? So they're connected, but they're not touching,
Right, yeah.
right? And there are some things where you wrap them around here, and it's bizarre. It is utterly
It
bizarre.
is bizarre.
Like anybody that tells you is like, my agenda is state-run grocery stores. That has failed everywhere it's been tried.
Where have they tried it? Not here.
No,
Yeah.
crap countries, Patrick.
Right. Yeah.
Communist crap
right. Yeah.
countries.
Ones that actually do listen to Voice of America. Got it. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah. Yeah.
correct. Um, I heard horror stories of Venezuela. I heard horror stories, from
Oh, I know.
the Soviet Union. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
I don't know
talking
anybody
about.
from the Soviet Union, but I do know a couple of people from Venezuela. They'll never go back.
Oh no, no,
No.
no,
No.
no, no!
No.
They're
No.
not welcome back.
No. No. They aren't.
That's the ticket. Like if you're talking about people who is just like, are you an asylum seeker? Oh, you have to say I'm from Venezuela. It's like okay,
Oh,
got
okay.
it.
Come on in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Actually, the first three rows of the bus are reserved for you
Yes,
guys.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people from other countries be like, take my
Take my seat
go
here.
ahead.
I'll stand.
Go
It's
ahead.
okay.
Yeah, fucking,
You're like a pregnant
yeah,
woman.
fucking pregnant women get up for people from Venezuela. No, it's true. And like when I was hearing about that from LA and those guys, it's like the secret police would come and fucking take you and shit. Like I'm like, are you
See,
serious?
here's the funny thing that, the whole thing, like, not just the socialism, I don't know how serious about that he is. Well, we'll probably find out, man. I mean, the odds makers have him at 60% winning now.
Well,
But,
they
like,
have him running up against right now. They say against Eric Adams. I'm like,
oh, that guy's a sitting fucking duck.
I don't think he was going to win against anybody.
No, and especially in a city okay, New York City's pretty blue, and then Donald Trump totally let that guy off the hook. And if I was running against him, that's the first thing I'd say every time that I'm talking about it.
Why don't you go, your buddy?
Yeah, it's all Eric Adams, the guy that Donald Trump left off the hook. You know? So you got him on speed dial there? Does he no longer return your phone calls? No, and so yeah, and I think I saw that Cuomo was going to try and stay in.
He said he was considering running third party.
But apparently he is so universally hated because of COVID, that he doesn't have a fucking, like, a prayer.
Okay, so in New York and specifically,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that lost an uncle or an aunt
Right.
or a grandfather
Yeah.
lost them because Cuomo said, let's take our sickest people and confine them together.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a good argument. That's not necessarily one that I've heard, but I'm sure it'll come around.
Well, it's between him and the fucking lady that makes Dalmatian coats in the governor's office.
Yeah, but she took over from him because, well,
Correct.
remember he had that whole sex scandal thing.
That's
So,
correct.
yeah,
Which I guess is cool now.
Well, I mean, it's almost the point in time. It's like, well, that's actually kind of cool compared to the other stuff that you did.
This right? It's like
You know?
no, and so I guess Cuomo could be like, "Why are you bringing up old shit?" Right? And I get it, I
Yeah,
get it. You know
yeah,
that is that. But remember, 5 years ago, that was the greatest sin that you could
oh,
commit.
totally. Yeah, but still, at the same point in time, I mean, you just like the other thing that they said that was kind of interesting is like 8.5 million people in the city, only 800,000 will vote in the primary.
That's
So
wild.
there's a big
Yeah,
chunk of the city out there that has yet to actually say what they're going to do.
that's a good
But
point.
fuck it, you
That's
know
good.
what? Like whatever. Let a socialist win in New York City and let him fuck up the city for a little bit. And then, I mean, okay, fine. I mean, we go through this every few years where some dude gets his hands on with like stupid ideas like that, gets their hands on a little bit of power. They go a little bit bananas with it, and they get tossed. So you know
They get tossed, or they basically get reined in the second week.
that happens too. Yeah. So you know, well, like De Blasio is a good example of that. So you know, oh, I
Well,
know
yeah,
everybody
no,
hates
I
his
mean, no,
guts.
no,
I
no.
get it,
I
but
mean, well, no, actually, a lot of people like him as a person,
well,
right?
yeah,
And my understanding was the way it said is like, there's no way to be in a room with this guy and not like him.
right. Until you go, you
And
have
then
to
you
ride
go
the
outside
subway, get home.
and you
Yeah,
see what he did to New York.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So yeah.
but evidently, he was a great person. But
Well, he's still alive.
oh yeah, that's right. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
that's true. You do maintain personhood status once you leave office. I
Right. Yeah.
forgot about
Yeah. Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, just like little things where they, like the sanitation department would go, they'd pick up 3 times a day, and then it got down to once every 2 days.
Right. And there's trash everywhere.
And evidently, that is like those little like blinking things in like the old like Sim City games and shit, where you kind of
The guy still pulling his hair out.
yeah,
You know?
and it's you
He's got the clipboard.
exactly, and you're like, why is this dude waving the crime banners? I don't fucking get it.
I get it.
And you're like, the jails aren't full, like the schools aren't full of like sewage or anything else. I don't get it. And then you find out it's because they're not picking up the
Yeah, there's
trash.
no trash pickup. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Versus the city skylines poo in the water, which is you
You
die,
get
she
immediate
dies, everybody
feedback. Yeah.
dies.
Yeah. Yeah. You get immediate feedback. So the feedback loop is very strong. So, it's not just a check engine light, man. It's like
Yeah.
you need to pull over right now.
No, you're not kidding. You have just enough time to think like, oh my god, this place needs a hospital. You
Right.
built that hospital,
Right. It doesn't do any good. If more people are getting sick, what the
and
hell?
that's the thing
This
is
hospital's bankrupting me.
like they get a little bit better, but it turns out they're still brushing their teeth with spit water
With
every.
food water.
It's like, man, I just can't shake this cold. I don't get it.
You know, I wouldn't mind if like the socialist fervor actually kind of like concentrated itself in New York City. I mean, it's kind of it like from what I understand, the couple guys that I
Mm.
follow who are actually from the Los Angeles area, they are fucking done with Democrats. So, this last round of
Yeah.
absolute horseshit has mobilized anybody in the town who can rub two nickels together. So
Is writing letters.
is
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And so that one's kind of done. Even the Hollywood crowd is back the fuck off of a lot of that shit.
There's
So
a couple of people still popping off, but not about that. They're popping off about some of the same stuff before.
well,
Is
yeah,
like every now and then you'll see Pedro Pascal pop out
taking
there, and
pop shots at fucking J.K. Rowling, yeah, and she just like swats him away. It's just like, still here, buddy. You know? You know?
I mean, you're not kidding. It's she's actually she's actually a good follow on Twitter.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think I do follow her. Yeah, she doesn't pop up that often though.
No,
Every few days.
every few days somebody
Yeah.
says something to her that really pisses her off, right? And usually it's something pretty innocuous, but the answer is usually like, um, "Hey, you're welcome to go ahead and write your own 7 best-selling books of all
I
time."
have seen that. Yeah,
But
it's okay for you to fund your own campaign to turn over the law. Yeah.
this is yeah. So she will kind of throw down every now and then, but yeah, that's the kind of thing is every now and then you'll hear some dude in Hollywood kind of pop up, but most people know like don't
Don't do it
Don't
anymore. Yeah,
don't.
don't do it anymore.
Which sort of begs the question of either you've clamped down on this or you don't believe it.
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of
I
both.
think it is a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think, and then, well, the whole, the Snow White thing, that gave
Yeah.
everybody kind of like a shining example of like, don't do that.
It was so like you have when it came to losses that coincided with that kind of behavior, there were enough points to draw a line. And Snow White went so far into the
Oh,
hole.
it was a perfect one for one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you could see it then.
that this was like the last test case, and they're like, "All right, fuck it,
We're
done."
done. We're
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
Anybody here that has a political opinion, if you say it on the clock,
yeah,
you're done.
yeah. You're done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's washing its way out of there a little bit, because I mean, and I'm not the
Good.
first guy to say it. Many people have said it, but the town's about money, okay? And if the money stops, the behavior changes. And so, the last few batches of movies, and just wait, because what is it? This week we get three fucking huge blockbusters coming down
Oh,
the
do
pipe.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
actually, it starts with new dinosaur movie,
Well,
doesn't it?
yeah, Dinosaurs Part 9,
Yeah.
so, or whatever. Right? And which I have no desire to see whatsoever. I will not go see it.
I have never seen a score of things that I have been previously interested in, less interested in.
Star Wars is up there, although I do want to watch Andor. So
Right, but are you going to go ahead
um,
and sign up to Disney Plus for that?
I am not.
You're not.
I am not.
Okay, now,
So
on the other hand, well, your internet connection is kind of shitty. Otherwise, I'd say it's time to get up
Darby
the
dar,
pirate ship.
yeah. Hoist the anchor.
I watched a pretty decent video last night about making the case for piracy.
I've seen a couple of
you
those
know,
out there. I don't like the whole like, well, if I don't get to keep it, then it's not piracy thing. And it's like,
okay. Why does that one not sit with you? I'm
well,
not saying I don't have an opinion on it yet. Why does that not sit with you?
I don't mind paying for a service. If I see it as a service,
It's a
that's fine.
service. Okay.
Okay, so like I wouldn't like try and pirate an airplane seat to get where I'm going. you know? So,
Okay.
you know,
All right.
yeah,
I got you. I
yeah.
got
And
you.
so, like, fine. If I see it as a service, it's like, okay, fine. It's a service. All right. So you update my shit and you fix it, kind of thing. And
Okay.
so, all right.
Uh-huh.
And if it downloads while I'm sleeping, great. And so, like, fine. If I don't get to own the physical medium, it doesn't bother me as long as I have access to it and I paid for the service. And so I see it as a service where you pay the cost up front. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. Now my opinion on that might change if, for example, I pay $120 for GTA 6 and it doesn't fucking run on my machine.
Well,
So yeah, so then I'll be a little bit hotter about that.
you'll know within 2 hours if it does, and you can return it if you know. But,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so in this perspective, then essentially, like, so if you're talking about, see, this is really interesting because when you go to the movie theater,
Mhm.
right, you watch the movie, you don't get to take a copy of it home with you.
No, you pay for access.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess I kind of see it that way. I mean, there's just something about that just because I've seen a couple polls on that and that like pirate ship thing where well, if I don't get to buy the product, then it's not piracy if I steal it, kind of thing. It was like,
Well, I mean, it was weird. It was enough to make me think about it. I was like, is that what this is about? Is that
well, yeah. I mean, I thought about it for about a minute too. Then I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't apply to a lot of shit that I pay up front for. So, yeah.
like electricity?
Well, yeah, that
Like you don't own it.
but even that one's different because you don't
You
like
use it.
well, yeah, but you don't like pay the utility company $1,000 in January and then just get it all year round.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, if they let me do that, I probably would do it. But
If you scored a deal, you buy it like insurance.
you buy it in bulk, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That would be like way late stage capitalism. Like
Oh yeah. Thought that was on our band list.
Was it? So you know what? It might have been.
Might have
It
been.
might have been. But yeah, there's like I said, it was enough to get me thinking about it. As I'm like, okay, so I can almost see a point here, but I'm like, I gotta tell you, most points justifying piracy, there's really only one that I have one that I still stand with is whether or not something's available, right?
Okay, yeah.
And when it comes to, so I guess this is part of my general uh, entertainment like promise, sort of that kind of thing. Here is like once you submit something to the public, right? I think it's as much theirs as it is yours,
Yeah, no, I agree.
right? And if that is just not available to them and there's another way to get it,
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Totally fine. Um, and I know that there are some people that are very protective of their IP, and they're like, I don't want to release it. I don't want to sell anymore. I don't want to whatever. I'm like, that's cool. You don't have to sell anymore, right? But I will get Back to the Future 3 a different way, and just that's you're not going to stop me,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm okay with that. Same thing
Right.
goes with like video games. If that's not available anywhere,
Yeah.
I'll download the shit out
Yeah,
of
I'll
this.
find it.
Yeah,
I've had that happen to a couple games. So
absolutely.
where the studio's long gone and it's like, well, I don't know who to mail a check to now. So
And I most certainly would.
yeah, exactly.
Given the opportunity, especially if that meant that somebody has actually gone through and said, "All right, you remember this crappy game you used to play on your Tandy 1000?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yes.
I'm like, "It would never work on your PC. It's like not in a million years. It will now because I fixed it."
Here's $5, dude. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
I would rather do that than pirate it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So, and I've actually I've had a little luck with that because, as much as you like to bag on the Europeans, they do have like shorter copyright laws,
They do.
and so you can
That
find
is, I agree with that
you
completely.
can find some old
Yes.
shit up there that's completely free, and you can usually play it emulated online, so you don't even need to download anything.
Oh,
So
just like in your browser.
yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah,
the old
yeah.
DOS
Okay,
games where
okay,
it
yeah.
runs DOSBox in your fucking browser rather than having you like download that potentially fucking IED of of a software package that you don't know what's in it.
Man, when you're saying it and you're right. It's literally like when you get that thing, it's like, fuck, man, I'm going to spin this, but there are 3 bullets in the chamber. I'm like, like I've sat there. You probably have too,
I
where
have
it's like
to, yeah.
where the mouse is on the button, and you're just like, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, Microsoft Defender has already told you I'm out.
Right? That's true. It's like, oh, Paul, this is between y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
You're
my
on your own,
god,
son.
you're right. It does. It'll let you know. It's just like I'm legally required to inform you that if you open this, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I
this
know.
is the most dire warning I can give you. So yeah, no, man. I mean, yeah, but like some of the, I don't know, man. So if the big market games like that are going to break that $80 price point, which they already have, okay. Um, I mean that's got a natural cap on it somewhere else. So somewhere else, but hey, you and I were talking about this the other day. It just makes much more sense to actually either like get some mileage out of some of the stuff that maybe you didn't put that much time into and you already own, or go find yourself a $20 game that's going to get you 40 hours. So
Well, that's what a lot of people are doing. That's one of the problems here. I mean, so this is one of the things that they point to is they say like, hey, check this out. So this is possibly the worst argument that they used to have. Is they're like, hey, you know, when you went and bought Excite Bike in 1985, it's like, yes.
yeah,
It's like you paid $45 to $50 for that then, didn't you?
yeah, yeah,
It's like, this is true. It's like, now, on the other hand, we're asking for $70, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah, it's like, and we have a team of 300 people. It's like, who told you to have a team of 300 people?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Who told you that you need 16 people in HR.
Dude, that's the thing about it is like there's so many elements of the game industry that are basically family, fucking welfare projects. So
Fucking A. Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean,
God damn. Yeah. Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
it's just like okay, like yeah, all right. Well, and I mean, Silicon Valley was like that, for
Oh, yeah.
years, and probably still is in some respects. But some of that shit's gotten shaked out by the fact that it's like, oh, wait a minute, if our stock prices stop going up and we can't sell any more of it, then that means we don't make payroll around here. So some of that has stopped. Well, and
Right.
a lot of that I actually did. I read this thing a little while ago about like all the fallout from that Silicon Valley Bank thing last year. That was actually real, man. I mean, there were a lot of companies like, fuck, man.
I sort of have
Yeah, I know.
a
Yeah.
guy in the middle of that who is
So there was,
basically training to do other shit.
yeah, exactly. Because it just realized that there was so much in that was just basically kind of semi-legal money laundering.
I would not be surprised if a lot
Yeah.
of art was sold. Yes.
Or art or, original cuts of, fucking Hootie and the Blowfish albums or whatever. I have no idea. But still at the same point in time, it would also be like one of those things where it's like, all right, so if line go up on our stock graph, all
Yes.
right, and the company is self-owned, okay, meaning that we can actually distribute out like compensation in the form of options and things like that.
Yes.
Okay, and then all of a sudden, like this bank that was supporting that, okay, collapses.
When fucking boat goes
Okay.
minted. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you take a look at J.P. Morgan Chase, and they're like, you know, it's like, well, we need a new business model very quickly. So and so that kind of happened there, and it was kind of interesting. But and a lot of that, I mean, yeah, you were a little bit tied into it more so than anybody else, so I didn't really know that much about it. But then, like a lot of things, if you give it 6 months or a year, and then you look back at it, it's like, oh, that actually did make a difference. Ooh, you know?
It did make a difference. I mean, and like the best comparison I could draw on this one, because Marina's husband, he's been like out on this for like 7 months, right?
Well, he did venture capital, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and he's the one investing in these things,
yeah.
right? And so the tricky thing on this shit here was like when he was describing it to me, and they were both describing it to me, I was like, I've seen this kind of model before,
Mhm.
right? Because I'm like, because he's part of a smaller firm,
Yeah.
right? And there is still some of that going on, but the few firms that are big enough to basically have taken that brunt,
Yeah,
right? They're the only ones that are left. And it reminded me
yeah.
exactly of like the house flipping market, where it just became no profit for little guys.
You're not going to find any fucking,
Yeah.
30 cent on the dollar ideas.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And there was like
So,
a golden time in there where it
yeah.
was like anybody can come in here with this.
Yeah.
Right?
If you had a little bit of scratch to throw around, you can make money. So,
Absolutely.
and, I mean, the property market was exactly the same way, and now
Yeah.
it's fucking impossible to flip houses. Okay, they're too expensive. All right, you're not going to find a fix and flipper that you're going to be able to put like buy 30 cents on a dollar, put another 10 cents on a dollar, and walk away with 60. It's just not going to happen. So
Only places that have the capital to like manage tons of these can do that.
or
And
the,
they've
yeah, or the guys who can actually go in there and like if they make 10% on a project, that's good.
right,
So
because 10% is good for them because they've done
Yeah.
15 of these.
or it's the other guys who actually have enough cash to actually buy it out straight out.
That is true.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's true.
But if you're like these club investors where you get 5 people together to throw in, $20,000 on a house to get $100,000, investment and try and flip it for 250, that doesn't work anymore. So you're not going to find it. So, and that's what I think a lot of those venture capital firms, because I mean, there's a couple other podcasts out there that I obliquely watch from time to time that kind of touch on some of that shit.
Mhm.
So, and they are the ones who kind of walk through the whole fallout of the Silicon Valley Bank. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So, thanks.
Well, it's funny is it is not just that. Evidently, that is something that they're not really talking about. But that Bay Area is sort of getting their ass kicked
Mm-hmm.
from this, and nobody wants to talk about it.
No, you just pretend it's not happening. La 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 la.
That was kind of it because there were
Yeah.
enough people that had like buckets of cash
Mhm.
to be able to look the other way about all the shit that was going on.
Yeah.
And now that they don't have buckets of cash, it's starting to be a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you leave. So,
Yes.
I think the same thing's going on in London. I was reading this thing the other day about how London is just bleeding millionaires right now.
That's
So,
correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're just like, fuck this city, I'm out. This place is crazy. I've seen some crazy shit on Twitter coming from London lately. So
London's got
it's just like,
problems.
what is going on with you guys, man? So,
London has a confluence of problems. Let me say it that way.
yeah.
And you're right. So there's it's inhospitable to millionaires. They want out.
Well, there's a lot of them there. So,
There are, there certainly are, and they want out. And there's a lot of there's just racial unrest is the best way to say it.
yeah, I've seen some of
There's
that.
no other way to say it right now.
Yeah.
Is um, the people that are there have been they're sort of in the hard trouble of looking down the barrel of their own progressive policies, right,
Yeah.
and what they supported, but at the same time not wanting like they want to say it's something else,
Well, yeah, this thing that was
but they
just the other
can't.
day that is talking about like, well, we're going to start providing like, publicly funded housing to individuals who live within so many miles away from a mosque. And we're going to have like preferential treatment for Muslims.
How
And
dare you?
well, yeah, and there was a whole bunch of people like, what the fuck? Yeah, and I mean, we're talking English people, man. So
Correct.
not let alone your fucking alt right guys here in the United States who just feel the need to weigh in on everything in the world somewhere.
Well,
You
I've said
know?
this before, Patrick. You and I both know that the sun doesn't go around the earth; it goes around the United States. So it's
We've heard it on and on.
I know that.
Oh,
But yeah, well, it's the kind of thing that people are the right. They're like, just do it. Just declare a crusade, and I'll be there. Right?
there are
And
definitely, yeah, there are enough Dance Bolt guys out there that, yeah, they would be
maybe
like,
those tattoos really were.
maybe they actually do mean something. Yeah, exactly. You know.
Maybe they didn't just look cool. Maybe you actually had. You meant something by it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to ask one of those guys, what's your favorite book in the Bible?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay. See, that's a tough one. So the easy one would say Leviticus.
Come on, man.
Well, I mean, it does forbid a number of the people that they tend to dislike.
Right. Okay, but that's not even in the Christian Bible. So if we're gonna go on a crusade here, so
I'm not wrong.
I know, man, but if I gather up 10 of these guys and I don't hear at least one Matthew and one Luke,
Right,
we're done.
right,
We obviously know that this has nothing to do with
right.
religion. Yeah. So,
Well, one of those guys will say Revelations, and they will mean it.
well, yeah, it's because they want to play, they want to participate. Yes.
So I heard something's going to happen, and
Yeah,
I'm going to be there.
this is a whole like fucking Fight Club thing. My life sucks. Got nothing going on. I want to be a terrorist.
You know, the movie didn't say that outright. I
Exactly
mean, it
what
kind
it
of
says.
does.
Yeah. Once they're gonna piss in these people's food.
Selling them their own fat asses
Yeah,
back. Yeah, I
exactly.
know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
even better. Yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
That's why he's holding the bar with hope.
Exactly.
Yep,
Yep. You
yep,
got it.
yep.
Yeah. No, there's a little bit of that going, but the other thing is like Donald Trump's been actually racking up enough. Like I'm not going to call them just flat out victories, but like he's done a lot of shushing of people around here lately who just like
He has.
and I mean even guys on his own side, like he did shush the fuck out of Tucker. So last week,
And he said something so stupid, but it was absolutely like poignant.
yeah,
I can't
I
remember
can't
what he
remember
said,
what it
but it
was
was
either,
just
but it was
basically
like, yeah,
like,
he's not a psychopath, but he's like, yeah, lunatic or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, kooky. He called him kooky. Yeah,
Kooky were a kook. Yeah, it
he
was
called
so.
him a kook.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You're
yeah.
right.
You're right. Yeah. So yeah, and then and then him ordering that strike while having lunch with Stephen.
That that's one for the record, folks, man.
Well,
That's.
apparently it was right after he had lunch with Stephen.
I think that could be worse.
So,
Because he
yeah,
was
because
thinking about it. Yeah,
before the lunch, he was like, "Hey, we want to talk about this."
right.
He's like, "Oh, Israel, blah blah blah." He's like, "Yeah, maybe we'll talk."
So this is a very case of it was true when I said it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah. No, but apparently it was after. So he went and had lunch with that guy, and then it was like, "Yeah, light him up." So no, that was interesting. I actually did get kind of into that. I watch a lot of these military guys, who get off on this stuff and kind of get into some of the details on it. So, and apparently we did fuck that place up pretty good. So,
Why is the hill that you're trying to die on like, you didn't really blow them up?
so all right, I can go into some detail on this. Man.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
So apparently there's so you know how they hit 3 different sites,
Yes.
and the Israelis hit like another half dozen. Okay.
Right.
So, we're talking about there's not like this is the nuclear bomb plant, and if we just blow that up, it's all done.
Right.
Okay, kind of thing. It's actually several different pieces, and the Iranians were smart about this. They put them all in different places, and they wanted to get everyone ready so that if they did need a bomb, they could bring it all together, okay, very, very quickly, all right, and get one up like in a month or two. And so they have a rocket factory, they have a rocket fuel factory, they have, several enrichment sites. Then there's a couple specialized ones, including the one that they dropped these fucking mobs on. So that they built it underground, and everything like that. It's because that's where they do a lot of the really expensive shit. So, and they're like, well, so we know it's deep enough where we can't actually get to it. Okay. So, but we can blow up all the entrances and make it like almost impossible for them to get to the equipment in time where it won't degrade to the point in time where they'll have to replace it. And that was the whole idea. And apparently some of this equipment like requires like fucking like precious metals and shit like that. It's insanely expensive. So they knew exactly what they were doing. And so when the Pentagon comes out with this assessment the other day, it lists all the different things. Okay. And then, yes, CNN and CBS and some of these guys were cherry picking some of these things that, yeah, it'll only take them a couple months to set this part back up. Okay. But to get to the bomb, you have to do all of these things. And this one here was set back by a decade. So, and nobody's talking about that, man. So, yeah. It's like, okay, so fine, they can press yellow cake and they can make rocket fuel in a couple months. A bomb, those two things do not make. So right. Yeah, and so that's the whole story right there. And there's a couple guys who kind of broke that down, and I was like, oh, that fucking makes sense. I don't know anything about making nuclear bombs, but you made it make a little bit of sense. And now I see why CNN was cherry picking that. So because yeah, they'll have that piece of it back up in a couple months, and that's what the Iranians said. They said, yeah, we're going to keep doing this. It was like, we can do that part, but that's item number 1 on a 10-item list. So, yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but then the Russians came in and said, oh, we'll give you one. It's like, well, fuck.
Yes. So, there was a little bit of like, you stay out of this. This got nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Well, Trump's been kind of cool on that front, too. He's just like, all right, whatever, even someone the other day, I think it was at the NATO conference, called him out on that. He was like, yeah, the problem's the Russians. So, so he's like, I'm ready to make peace today.
You're right. There was something like that where they about speaking specifically about Iran and Russia, and he's like, you talk to Putin? It's like, yes. It's like, you talk to him about Iran? It's like, yes. It's like, what'd you talk about? I told him not to do that. Say anything else? It's like, yeah, I told him to stop fighting.
Right, yeah.
He's like, you are the problem.
Yeah,
right?
It is the problem. So, but I mean, I've been reading on that a lot the last couple of days too. So that's where, I mean, we started with that a little bit with statistics because they're finding really clever ways to actually track Russian casualties. So,
Really?
oh, yeah. So, like all kinds of different things, like looking at flower orders for flowers, all the way to like cell phone usage.
Honestly, dude, I think cell phone usage is probably the truest thing that you're ever going to
The
find.
most accurate one is
Yes.
actually Telegram. So this is just about everybody in Russia has a fucking Telegram account, so they can tell which ones go dark. So, and that guy, he's not in Russia, he's in France, and he's like, yeah, you guys can look at my data, just don't send me. And so the French have consistently come out with, like these casualty reports that have been pretty much validated, through other means. It's just interesting stuff. And so,
Well, I mean, I'm on it, and it turns out that working with Russians are on it,
yep,
and there's a reason that they're on
yeah,
it. And we actually joked about it that the marketing tagline
mm-hmm.
should be that it's fit for a criminal, because
right, yeah.
when it comes out, no, it's in the same way that Better Call Saul had the privacy sold here signs up. Same
Oh,
fucking
right,
thing.
yeah,
Same fucking thing. Where it's
yeah,
like this shit. Why do they use it? I can tell you why. Because it's very difficult to crack.
yeah. Unless you have the guy who has the key, which the French do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out there like he's just eating like snail stuffed croissants and shit. Like that's his life now.
No, he's perfectly fine with
Yeah.
that, but the French have the keys.
Correct.
Yeah, they see
Right.
everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, no, it was kind of interesting. Um, but yeah,
Well, no, it's funny that that thing, that fucking Chud Jack thing going on there of like, it's finally happening. It's the third one is here. It's finally happening. And
it's not happening.
there was a part of me that said, I guess it could. I'm giving this a zero point 0 chance though.
I'm not going to give it a zero chance, but I
Of
think
a world war?
a world
There's
war. I
no
give I
way
give
see
I give the
it.
Rockies a better chance of winning the World Series this year.
There you go.
So
All right. All right. That is
not zero, theoretically possible.
right. Right.
But World War III, like I've seen these things where other people are talking. It's like, well, basically, we've been doing World War III for about 10 years now, and like they were, like comparing it to, so like the American Revolution was actually a world war, and almost nobody knows that.
This is very true.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
This is very true.
almost
Yes.
nobody knows that because there was one particular piece of it that was really important. Okay.
Yes.
But that one particular piece did not mean that people were dying everywhere on the face of the planet at that rate, and it was a very kind of chill war, I mean, it has moments where it flare up a little bit, but, like the British sat in Philadelphia for 3 fucking years and didn't do nothing, kind of thing. And then finally the French showed up and the British were like, we're good, you know, and it was end, but it was a good 7-8 year war, but it
Yeah.
was fought in Germany, it was fought in Portugal, it was fought in the Caribbean, it was fought in India, so in some respects at that time, and so and it's definitely fought in Egypt at that time too, and so but it was just it was a little bit like chill, but it was a world war.
Well, and that's the thing is it's sort of war has meant different things at different periods of time.
Yeah.
There were times where wars are almost like it's tantamount to boxing if boxers could be made from bodies of tons of guys.
Okay.
It's true. No, it's true because there's these certain like the when you get into it and you have certain things and you get into little fights, right? And there's like an evaluation, and they look at it, and there's this pageantry. You send somebody out there, you send your messengers, you talk to each other. It's like oh, great, honorable, blah blah blah, and you go this, okay, right? And you're trying to negotiate for surrender or peace or something, and they let you
Yeah.
go with your dignity, right? Like that is
It's
not
kind of the same, yeah.
that's like if you were to say like if I was to like talk to a dude right now that was like, well, I was in Afghanistan. Did you do any of that shit? It's like no,
No.
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 Did at any point did you guys line up and look at each other before you started shooting?
No.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Right? And that's the kind of weird thing about it is like this is a different there's a reason
It's
that
totally different.
like dueling was there because sometimes it would prevent this kind of shit.
Well, it was easier and it was a little bit more to the point.
Yes.
And so, yeah, some people have been saying that we're returning to like 18th century warfare, where it's because they were pointing out there are some interesting statistics, and I mean, your Russian friends would know this about like how the Russians they're still not technically at war, okay? Because what that means is that Putin gets to call up all his mobilized reserves, and his reserves are all made of conscripts. So every actual Russian unit has about 30% of its combat power tied up in conscripts who get called up during mobilization. It has to do with like laws and stuff there, and tradition in some respects. And he hasn't done it, so he's not all in. Okay, and the Ukrainians are almost the same in some respects. They staunchly refuse to draft anybody into their army who's younger than 27, and anybody who has any kids. So it's all being fought by 40 or 50-year-old men. They did their Kursk offensive last year. They'll never do that again because their casualty rate actually came up to the Russian casualty rate during that entire thing, and they can't afford it. And they've lost basically all the American equipment and the German and the French. I don't think the French actually gave them any tanks, but like Germans did, we did. Those are all basically destroyed. They don't want any more of them because they're just drone
targets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the Russians have very few tanks left on their front line, so they use drones. Basically, they hold the line with infantry and artillery, and then they just launch a shitload of these fucking plywood drones at, Ukrainian cities every fucking week. So blowing up a playground here and there.
There's no great defense against it.
There is no great defense. They were actually using F-16s to go up and shoot them fucking things down. So, I mean, okay. So that's an expensive way to shoot down a $50 drone.
Yeah.
And so, so the Russians are just engaging in basically what's a terror campaign. And Ukrainians are basically, I mean, they're smart about giving up ground. And so they'll say, okay, so we have this field over here. It's going to cost 2,000 Russian lives to take it. So once they get up to 1,500, we'll pull back and make them pay 2,000 for the next acre. So it's crazy, man. So, and they will. So,
yeah, it's
brutal.
It's kind of retarded, and
it's very retarded.
Sort of,
So, and I mean, the thing about it is like you can make a good argument that Ukraine wasn't really a nation, before like 2014 or whatever. So it was still basically a Russian puppet until they took Crimea. And then it was like, okay, so can't take no more. And then when they launched the invasion in 2022, now it's a full-blown fucking nation. So it'll never reconcile with Russia, man.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about the place that invented partisan warfare during World War II.
Kind of, yeah.
So they'll never be able to take it,
They got some old stories. As a matter of fact, I found out that that's a lot of when they break it down and they talk about when I was asking about like different holidays and shit, right?
Oh yeah, you told me about that a little bit. Yeah.
Where it's like, what does the United States tell? I was like, well, we rally around the 4th. We do that. That's one of our big ones, But I guess a lot of those, like the World War II stories, are the ones that they still tell and they celebrate, at that.
Yeah, they have the two big ones. The what is it? It's not called May Day, but it's like Victory in Europe Day. Yeah. That's huge. And I mean, here, like, you can't even tell me what day the Nazis surrendered. Or the Japanese. It doesn't matter, because we have the 4th of July. So,
that's correct.
Yeah, and we're good.
We don't fool around with that. I was like, I was like, this is actually sort of because what I was wondering, I was like, so we've had a continuous basic, history of this from this period since 1776, basically, right?
Yeah.
And before, I mean, you can look at things before this, but I was like, so. Do you celebrate things before the Bolsheviks? Like, I was like, do you have chunks where you say this didn't happen? Do you go before this? Do you celebrate things here? And part of it was like, yes, no, yes.
Christmas, Easter for people who care, and then
right.
Yeah, but then it's like Victory Day in Europe, that's 4th of July.
And we still have Lenin. I mean,
right? Yeah.
What I mean, like, so, I want you to picture like that in the United States. So like if
If we had the entombed corpse of fucking George Washington.
so I want you to imagine that during like the George Floyd riots when they were tearing down like the Confederate statues. Are you telling me that people wouldn't fucking pull the corpse of Washington
We had
out
a
onto the street?
mausoleum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking fill it
exactly.
with firecrackers and blow it the fuck up. It's like, are you crazy? Of
Yeah, you
course they
probably
would.
would. Yeah.
And they would say like slaveholder, or
Yeah.
something like this. It's like, yeah, yeah, you can't do that shit. And
No.
that's. I was like, so you just sort of accept this as part of your history? It's like,
Yeah.
we didn't like it, but I didn't do it. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? That's a great point.
It's getting a little long in the tooth, man. I mean,
Yeah,
technically, if you and I were born in Russia, we would have grown up in the Soviet Union a little bit.
yes,
Substantial amount.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, like
So,
all of elementary school would have been done
yep,
under the Soviet banner.
yep, yep.
But like, okay, but like, we wouldn't be fighting in no war. So unless it got
No,
that bad, I mean, and so like,
unless our parents got us out. That's it.
well, yeah, but then, I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, you think about it, like the kids these days, I mean, they like my students were born after 9/11, man.
Yeah,
You know,
I know. I know.
so
I know.
it's a
Yeah,
completely different vibe now, and I mean, it's just it's not something that we hang on to like they do in those parts of the world, because it's like, I mean, I don't know, man, and I mean, I've noticed this a little bit even with the like Afghanistan and Iraq guys. A lot of those guys have chilled the fuck out about that. Now that we've got a good, 5 years since the pullout of Afghanistan, because Joe Biden did that his first year, right?
I,
Yeah,
it feels like
it's
it.
been about five
Yeah,
years, and I mean, shit, we haven't had like any combat like heavy duty units in Iraq in almost 15 years.
right.
So yeah, or maybe about like 13, 12 years or so. Because that was Obama who basically said, "Yeah, we're done here." It kind of chilled out, and then ISIS came, and then the Iraqis beat them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean,
I
this
mean,
is
we used some bombs, but kind of what we
we
do.
did. I mean, that's the thing. It came and went. I don't think anybody. It wasn't good. Okay, it wasn't good.
No, it
It
wasn't
doesn't.
good.
It didn't.
I don't feel good about calling it a loss, though. I mean, now that it's got,
We all voted for it to
we
happen.
totally voted for it to happen. I mean, the president still has the AUMF, which that came up last week because of those bombs.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody's like, impeach him. I was like, you fucking signed the bill. You know, he has
Um,
the right to do this, man. Just, and I had to go back and do some research on that because I was wrong about some of that stuff. And don't let other people tell you that we haven't declared war since World War II. Now that part's actually true.
right, because
Okay.
Congress has to do that.
Because Congress has to do that, but Congress, for every conflict that we've had there, the president has actually acted under some kind of authorization from Congress. Okay, so the UN resolution got us into the Korean War, and the Senate ratified that. Okay, Gulf of Tonkin resolution, okay, came from Congress, got us into Vietnam. Okay, and then again, um, George H.W. Bush went to Congress, all right, and said, hey, can we back up the UN if we get them to vote on the 1990 Gulf War Act? And they signed off on that, okay? And so it's actually not happened where the president just unilaterally starts a fucking war without some kind of authorization from Congress. Now, the last time that it went through was 2002. So, and that thing was basically a blank check, and they're probably never going to get it back from the presidency. So,
Yeah, that's true. As a matter of fact, I mean, that was one of the funny things when they brought up like the president can't do this, and basically people were quick to say like, all right, so I'm going to show you a different president's face. Okay, it's like this is Barack Obama.
yeah.
It's like so if you look down this rap sheet,
Oh, yeah.
okay, that looks like Santa Claus's like good
Hmm.
boy list,
Yeah.
right? Like it rolls across the floor like 10 times, and it's got like
Oh,
these are
yeah.
all the ordinance that he dropped under this same thing.
Oh, he's got the record for drone strikes.
It's like,
So yeah,
so was this not cool? Because none of y'all said it wasn't cool at the time,
yeah, I know.
right? So that disappeared pretty fucking quick, and rightly
It
so.
did once people actually went back and read the law.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was like, okay, all right. So that one went away.
If you don't like the law, I'm cool with you
fucking
actually
change
taking
it.
that back.
Yeah,
That's
no, that'd
fine.
be great. That actually probably should be something that we should fix. But it's a little oversold. And like I even guys that I like have made that argument over the years. But then if you go back and you actually look at the record, it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, because Congress does have to write the checks, and wars
They
take
do.
checks.
They do. They do. Now,
It's
because I would ask you this, in that regard, what is the maximum possible damage that a president could do under that, in terms of a sustained military action? Could we fight fucking Greenland for this? Could we, like,
oh, so I mean, I get. Well, I mean, you could do maximum damage. I mean, because the president does
well,
have sole launch authority in the
okay,
United
so
States.
there's that. That's that. But if
So,
that happens, that happens, right? Ain't nothing we can do about it.
no, we're all
Right.
fucking cooked if that happens.
And we
So,
were cooked before.
that hasn't changed since the 1960s.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
And I see a lot of people make that argument. Oh, we're constantly walking on this knife edge with nuclear warheads, and it's like, actually, you know what? We're really fucking good at this. And you know what? I'm going to give the Russians a little bit of credit for being good at it too. So
Correct.
they kind of
Yes.
deserve it, because even though Putin's a very bad man, yeah, I mean, just the whole war ends if he dies or steps down from power,
Right.
and so if you have a critical Lincoln like that, it kind of does concentrate the focus, so to speak.
What is it like? Yes, yes, yes.
It's like, well, there's your problem, lady.
Right. I mean, I can go right out to the truck and fix this.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a new circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No. But I mean, even to his credit, he's actually said several times. Even he's got okay, so he's got his own version of the alt right.
He does.
And they're all on TV, which is hilarious. And they consistently call for nuclear strikes on just about anybody who just looks at Russia the wrong way. And he's the one who's always like, guys, come on, that's not how we do things around here. So,
well, that's his presentation. That
Yeah.
was the shit that I couldn't believe when it comes to, like, well, what does the world think about this guy versus what the Russians do?
right.
And when it was presented like, well, guys, I don't really want to be president anymore, but you guys asked for it.
Well, he's doing
So,
that Roman thing. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't need to be consul anymore. But if you name me Caesar,
Really? I mean,
there's nobody better.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's for real. And it's just
It's
like,
totally for real.
look, guys, I mean, I want to retire just as much as anyone.
But
I mean,
if I hand off power now, this whole Ukraine thing's going to go south, And
I got it. I got it. You sure you guys want me? Because
Yeah.
I can go home. It's okay. I miss my family too. So I was like, that's what they think of this guy. It's like, that's how he's always been presented.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And the rest of the world is like, well, this is a shirtless man riding a bear. I mean, this is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you know how some, like, albums have different covers and different regions?
Yeah, exactly.
So the American version.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is, man.
It's ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how y'all think this is like, you don't know what the average Russian thinks about this man.
Mm-mm. No, and I respect that, and I get that a little bit better now than maybe I did a year ago.
Well, people don't think this shit happens in current day.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Everybody judges the world by American standards in terms of,
Mhm.
wait, don't you all know this? Isn't this public record? Public record?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
What is this bullshit you're
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
about?
So,
And half of them would argue against it. Like, if you made everything public, how could the government act in secret? Duh.
duh. Dumbass. It's like lesson 1 in Russia. Yeah. So. Yeah, so
Uh,
like your chances of World War III, I don't think they're very high. So at all. I mean, the Chinese are chilling out. I mean, they've got their own problems.
they
So
have no choice but to chill out.
exactly, and when it comes down to it, I mean, like, so I know a little bit more about Chinese history than the average bear, and I mean, it is an empire. It's always been a little bit of an empire, but it has its own limits, man, and it always knows
Right.
where that limit is. And then like so they've basically the whole experiment of having a liberal economy failed. So because it
Mm.
started to result in like the loss of prestige amongst the CCP, and so they're fixing that. They have fixed that, but now they're fucking up their whole economy because like okay, so we have 1.2 billion people in this country, and we produce 4.3 billion electric scooters. Whoops. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I mean, just certain things when it comes to it's like when you're propping up this economy by force, right? And just the craziness when they say like, well, what do they have tons of? Concrete, tons of it.
yeah. Let's make more. Yeah,
Let's make more.
yeah.
Let's keep making concrete. Well,
Well,
we got to turn it into buildings. Okay, no problem.
yeah, yeah.
What's
Well,
going on? Well, let's tear the buildings down
build new
and
ones.
build new ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and look, to their credit, it might work. I mean, like, there's no like law of like economics that is written in stone. I
No.
mean, I mean, you can basically run a wartime economy forever, as long as
Yeah.
you have some form of consumption. If that means knocking the buildings down, so these guys don't earn out of a job. Okay, I mean, who the
That's the problem
who
is
the
the
fuck
people who are
knows?
out of a job.
Well,
The
exactly. Yeah,
youth unemployment is bad,
huge.
bad.
It's huge. You know. So who knows? But I mean, I'm not too worried about that. Anymore.
Well, it makes them less threatening on the global stage, and certainly not the uh, monolithic black hole that threatened to suck everything into it
Right.
um, from their failed. Like again, like the Road and Belt Initiative here is that's a black hole
Oh, they lost tons of
that
money
ate
on that.
money like nobody's
Yeah.
business.
No.
Yeah,
And they turn around and try and shake down Sri Lanka, and they're like, whatever, man. It
come
was
get
like,
it,
let me
bitch.
empty
Yeah,
out my pockets. Oh,
right,
wait, there's nothing there.
right.
You can have everything in both my left hand and my right hand. Oh,
I got one thing from the handy snack left, and that's the red
That's
stick.
the
All right,
red
you want
stick.
it?
You can have the
Yeah.
red stick.
I was gonna lick it for dinner. Do you want it? Come on, it's fine. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I got it. And there's this where those crazy ideas like push the influence. Got it. It was like, yeah, this is stupid shit. You look at their our jet to GDP is rough. Theirs
This is
is
horrifying. And
ridiculous, and that's the reported number.
right. Yeah, yeah. That's what you put on your fucking resume. Were you supervisor? Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I was lead supervisor.
let me put it this way: there's always a box there when you apply for something. It says like, did you graduate? What year was your degree?
Right.
Right, and there's a field there, and if you write your GPA,
Mm. Right.
I know how you did.
Yeah.
But if it's blank,
I've never seen someone record a GPA below 3.5. Yeah, exactly. So if it's blank, you just kind of know.
that's,
But it's just, yeah,
yeah,
it's silly, man.
yeah.
Like, but I mean, some of it's a little bit serious, but I don't know, man. I mean, with Trump like showed everybody kind of a little bit like last week. He's like, don't tug on Superman's cape, man. And so we'll be cool. We can be cool. I will talk to anybody, And even the Israelis are a little pissed at him because he was like, yeah, I'm gonna drop the bombs and then I'm gonna call up the Ayatollah. And they're like, wait, what? That first part was cool. What about that second part? And he was like, no, 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 no.
Got his number two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what he said. He was like, no, 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 just back me up on this. And then they bummed the shit out of him next day. You know?
Well, I guess
And then he called him out from the helipad. So, and then it was all cool within 5 hours after that. You know?
the one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to build an argument about Trump chickening out because you want him to chicken out.
Yeah,
There are
you kind
certain
of do.
things.
Yeah.
There are certain things where it's all bravado and smokescreens. And you know what? Here's the thing: they actually put ink to paper on the trade deals with China and India,
Yeah, they did.
which are the biggest ones here. It's the
The
EU.
Canadians.
Fucking Canadians, you get what you get.
You get what you
get
get.
what
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get. You
you get what you
guys, like, you guys do not have the clout that you think you do.
No.
Absolutely not. And this little thing of thinking that you are running like a free version of America, no, man,
That's
no,
ridiculous.
no.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
You know who hates living there now? Fucking Canadians.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford shit.
Yeah, it's tough. So, you know. And I mean, like, yeah, even like here, I mean, we did have they did come out with the numbers. They said we actually had a contracting economy. Was it first quarter? I think was the official one.
It's the first quarter, but the GDP for the next quarter actually exceeded their
Yeah,
expectations.
well, they haven't
but not by
finalized it
much.
yet. Well, see, that's the thing is it usually takes them about 3 months to finalize.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they said it was really back. But I mean, just judging by like, things in general, yeah, prices are high. I don't think they're ever going to come back down. So, in some respects, but everybody's kind of adjusting, man. So,
Nobody likes it, and look, problems are going to have to be sorted out here. You can tell that we're in a transitory state. This is not settled.
No, but some of it is just, I mean, there's like obvious answers to some things, and we're just not willing to go to them just quite yet. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of people who bitch about housing. I don't buy it. Okay. Now, I do if you live in a community that hasn't built any fucking houses in the last 30 years. Got it. Well, that's not like Uncle Sam's fault. That's not Donald Trump's fault. That's not Barack Obama's fault. That's not Joe Biden's fault. That's your mayor's fault. You know where that guy lives. Go knock on his door. So,
Make an appointment. I mean,
yeah,
maybe
yeah, don't do that. Yeah, no. We've had bad experiences with like
we've
local
had
politicians.
bad luck with just knocking on the mayor's door lately.
Don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so go to the city council meeting. Okay, so with like a PowerPoint, not an AR. So yeah, because
You can own it. Yeah,
You
but
can
don't
own
bring it. No, it's fine.
yeah,
It's
but
fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
like even here, I mean, you go out towards Will's place, you look at all the fucking, it's bananas how much construction is going on out there. So,
You see skeletons.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you see house skeletons, all over the place out there, man. And so, like, okay, fine, at first it was like, well, that's going to make my house worth less, and it's like, actually, no, because those houses out there, they'll be probably nicer but cheaper than my house because my house is closer to all the jobs. And so actually this works out for everybody because, okay,
Right.
if you're young
Right.
and you want a nice house, great. Here's a nice house that you can afford. You're just going to have to drive to work for 45 minutes. Okay. That's something you do. I mean, you got to make a sacrifice
That's the
somewhere.
suburban trade.
Exactly. That's what you go for, or go buy one of them fucking condos that they're building downtown like bananas. Too. I was down there last week, and holy shit, there's a lot more of them down there than there used to be.
Well, dude, I mean,
I'm sure they're not cheap.
I wouldn't doubt that either. But
Yeah.
yeah, just to piggyback on what you're saying over there, it's not just the skeletons of houses. When you look over there, I was like, William, I don't know what you're complaining about. You have like 5 new places to eat
Mhm.
since I was out here last.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right? I want to try these things.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you have one of these things? I don't have one of these things.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right, and exactly in those places where, yes, you can be mad at your mayor. If your mayor is basically
Mhm.
making it so that you have to live in San Jose to drive to San Francisco,
That's bad.
right? That's their fault.
That's their fault. So.
The problem here is you have to be willing to vote for someone else,
Mhm. Yep.
and you won't.
Yeah. No, you won't. So wrong party, man. It's like, well, that guy has a lockdown on that party, so ain't nothing going to change. Okay. All right, man. Cool.
Dude, this is the thing is like, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one to sit there and say, like, guys, you have problems, but what you cannot do is you can't look at this and say, I'll bet you Republicans did this. It's like, you know why? Because you can't find one.
No,
right?
not in that state. No.
No,
Yeah, you
you
can't find one in Denver, man. So there you go.
exactly.
So
Yeah, and so the same thing. Like if you go to Portland, right? I met nice people. They're
yeah,
great.
sure.
They're probably still like they stunk of Democrat, but they didn't stink of they didn't stink of far left.
Right. Yeah, they're
Those
not
people were
DSA
downtown.
Democrats. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
they did. There were some just straight up regular Democrats, but that's the thing is,
that's a rare breed now, man.
if you keep having problems, you cannot say that, you know what, I'm just going to vote for a different kind of Democrat.
Yeah, no, guy's not gonna make it through the primary.
Even New York
No.
City got to a point where they said, I got an idea, man.
I got an idea.
You ain't going to believe
Back
this
me
shit.
up on this. Just roll with it, man. You got my back, right?
You're gonna do what?
Come on, man. Let's just try it. Let's try it.
There you go.
There you go. Let's just try it. All
Let's
right.
just try it out.
Pat.